At which point did you one start playing open-handed? Is that something that you learned from your initial teacher, and or when did you flatten your toms to where the rack tom, which is traditionally elevated above the bass drum, became then on level with your floor tom, essentially?
I started flirting with open-handed playing really not too long after I started playing.
Huh?
Dennis kind of seamlessly switches back and forth,
Yeah.
and I also really like Carter Beauford.
I was gonna say when you said the '90s, I was like, I bet he was checking Carter Beauford out. It was impossible not to
Oh
check
yeah,
that guy out. He's fucking amazing.
he's so good.
Oh my god.
I started really simple. I think the first song I ever tried was "Heaven Beside You,"
Okay.
Alice in Chains, because it has a really simple like quarter note
Mm-hmm.
hi-hat part in the verse. And so once I got that down, it just grew from there. And I started challenging myself. If I would stumble onto something really cool with my right hand, my dominant hand, I would recreate it with my left hand. And then in the mid 2000s, I joined this like pop rock band, and they already had an EP out, and the parts were really simple. I wanted to challenge myself, and I this all this sort of evolved at the same time into the culmination of the kit that you kind of know me for playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to backtrack a little bit. Actually, a few years prior, I was in this crazy tech metal band, which actually was influenced by Dillinger.
Okay.
But we were playing this gig, and we got there really late, and I was literally taking my drums out of the bags and setting them up on stage. And on a whim, I decided to play basically like a penny style kit, kick, snare, floor.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to add something to promote more left hand movement, and so that became the rack tom. And for whatever reason, it was easier for me to set it up like that than it was to get it in position in the front.
Huh.
I don't know why, so be it. So I just got accustomed to that, but I still had a very traditional, conventional cymbal setup.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a little more into Mangini's playing, and I noticed that he used well, he talks about it in interviews. He would use the cymbals to complement melodies and chord progressions.
Huh.
So I took, a note from that, and I set up my lower pitch cymbals on the left and my higher pitch cymbals on the right. And that all sort of this was like a step by step thing, but it all sort of culminated in that setup that I'm known for with the pop rock band, the
Right.
aforementioned pop rock band.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's when the ride was permanently on the left, and I started using two differently pitched hi hats,
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Nice, man. And a lot of the videos that I've seen of you playing, man, you had mentioned that your initial teacher really strengthened your notating ability and or just reading ability. When you're orchestrating parts for Darkest Hour, for instance, is there a good bit of notation that goes into that? And is it sort of through composed with the fills and everything for you, or do you leave some space for improvisation, or is it pretty much you kind of set it in stone, notate it, and is that the way you sort of orchestrate the parts?
It depends how the song is conceived. We've always been a jamming kind of band. Well, not like, like a jam band, but
Yeah.
we'll get in a room and we'll work out the song together,
Uh-huh.
which I've always appreciated, because there was a big chunk of time where I was in various projects, various bands where that wasn't the case. It was all computer composition and trading files through the internet and such.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about this band and that aspect. And so what we'll do, let's say we have a song that Schlabbaum's come up with, who'll play it for me, and I'll just do a rough arrangement chart,
Mm-hmm.
like this riff for four times, this kind of groove, this riff, and then we'll just work through section by section, and then we'll take down a rough demo, and then he'll send it to me, and that's when I'll notate, and I'll start to flesh out some of the finer details, fills and such. Maybe I'll change the groove a little bit. Or another way, we are also a Guitar Pro driven band. So if someone comes up with a demo in Guitar Pro, they'll send it to me. That's happened a few times, and there won't be any drums. It'll be a blank canvas. So I'll write drums from scratch that way, which is a
Nice.
very, methodical, analytical kind of approach. But even then, if we write the song that way, we'll still jam it in person
Right.
and throw ideas around.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also kind of like a hybrid approach, where we'll work something out in person and then notate it right then and there and go back and forth. And there's also like a straight up program drums, like with Superior Drummer, they'll send me something like that, and then I'll have to like make this actually playable because I don't have three arms
Right.
and 3 feet.
Yep.
So yeah, but there are various approaches, but like I said, a staple is playing in person, so I like that.